An investigation by the Inspector General of the Justice Department says agents of the Drug Enforcement Administration admitted to holding sex parties with Colombian prostitutes paid for by drug cartels.
The report says that these parties were held over a period of several years. With more on the shocking report, joining us now is Chip Reed in Washington. Chip, police say that this alleged... Oh, sorry about that, Chip. What can you tell us about this?
Well, I can tell you that it's a 131-page report. We're still going through it. I've read almost all of it, but here's the good news. Right in the top of the conclusions, they say there were relatively few reported allegations of sexual harassment and sexual misconduct in the 4 law enforcement agencies in the Justice Department. But when they do have an allegation of sexual misconduct, it is a doozy. Let me read you something from page 27 of the report. The foreign officer, this is somebody from Colombia they interviewed, allegedly arranged sex parties with prostitutes funded by the local drug cartels for 10 DEA agents, and this happened many times, at their government-leased headquarters over a period of several years. And they say that weapons, laptops, all sorts of equipment were sitting around there in the offices. So certainly these prostitutes, if they had been asked by these drug cartels to get information, they certainly could have done that. And although there could be some credibility issues because this started with foreign agents, on page 28 of the report it says ultimately 7 of the 10 DEA agents admitted attending these parties with prostitutes while they were stationed. They don't say the word Colombia, but we do have reason to believe that this happened in the nation of Colombia, the same place where the Secret Service scandal in Cartagena happened just a few years ago.
And that's what we're going to ask you, Chip. I mean, this news of the DEA should seem incredibly shocking, and yet we're kind of having deja vu because, as you know, this happened with the Secret Service. So what kind of oversight needs to be done of federal agencies to make sure this kind of thing isn't happening while they're on the job? Well,
that's a good question, and I just interviewed the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Robert Goodlatte, who said there certainly is oversight lacking within the administration, that you just can't blame 10 agents. You've got to go up the chain of command, and that's one of the things they talk about in this report quite a bit. They actually talk more about accountability than they talk about the actual incidents that we were just speaking of, because what happened repeatedly, not just in DEA, but in other law enforcement agencies at Justice, is that these allegations would arise and then they would not get passed up the chain. So they would just stop at some point and there would be no accountability. What Judiciary Committee Chairman Goodlatte said is there need to be feet held to the fire, and that needs to happen at the administration and also at Congress. He said he was outraged by this, but I must say he also said he doesn't want to jump to conclusions. There will be hearings, and he doesn't want to say that heads will roll until they know all the facts here. But let me mention one other thing that I think really jumped out at me. When they said 7 of the 10 agents admitted that they did go to parties, these sex parties with prostitutes, it then says the DEA imposed penalties ranging from a 2-day suspension to a 10-day suspension. So you can attend sex parties in Colombia as a DEA agent with prostitutes, and you can have reason to believe that they're being funded by drug cartels, and you get a 2 to 10-day suspension. And I think that's what has a lot of people outraged.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chip, and thanks for bringing us up to speed on this.